And welcome to the Glacially Musical Podcast. It is beer, metal, and swearing. Of course, I am Nik Cameron, joined by my good friend. Oh shit, Keefy Chucks. I had a good one. I totally lost it. I want to apologize to everybody for this being late. Apart from my having COVID last week, my cats decided to short out my regular computer. So I am on an old janky computer, hoping to God that everything works okay. How you doing today, buddy?
I'm barely functioning, but it's okay. I managed to get out of bed and take a shower and brush the teeth and do all the human things a human being is supposed to do. But yeah, I don't know. Not doing too great. So
Well,
Pink
let's
Floyd
have
and beer sounds right about a good time right now.
perfection. Let's before we get to the beer check, just so everybody knows, if you are brand new, thank you very much. You have made a terrible choice. Hopefully, you disagree with me. As this goes, we do beer check, vinyl check, shirt check, news of the day, meat of the matter. Meat of the matter is the third different animals. So I should have called this whole thing. I should have called the first episode "Animals First Different One," then the second one "Animals Second Different One," and then the third one "Animals Third Different One." I didn't do that. Anyway, got my magnetic bottle opener because I'm not a peasant. Envy me for my Sierra Nevada Optimum Triple IPA 11%. Stop it. My child is trying to make me laugh while we're recording and is succeeding. We watched a terrible movie called Sharks of the Corn, and we have been quoting it ever since. And now she has a Sharks of the Corn, a shark puppet that is now our Sharks of the Corn puppet. So there is the Sierra Nevada Optimum. Very little head. The higher ABV you get, the less head you have. So it makes a better pour. Smells like happy.
So now I need like a refresh.
Holy crap.
I need to understand. I hope that means it's good. I need to understand this Sharks of the Corn movie.
Uh-huh.
I can't move forward until you give us a 10-second synopsis.
Imagine Jaws, but instead of the sharks being in the water, they're swimming in the cornfields.
Oh my goodness. I mean, it kind of sounds good.
Okay, sorry, there's a little bit of jumpiness today because I'm jumpy. Had a bad experience with nothing, which makes me jumpy. So, Sharks of the Corn, yes, Jaws, except it's sharks swimming in the cornfield. Then there's the cult and Bigfoot and the drones. But the greatest line is still, Mayor, you have got to shut down these cornfields. There are sharks in these corn and people are going to die. We can't shut down these cornfields. It's the best harvest they've had all in years. How do you shut down a cornfield? I don't know, but they talked about it a lot.
So, fun fact, I just saw Jaws in the movies. We talked about this a few episodes ago. And probably my most traumatic horror movie experience of my childhood was watching Children of the Corn on VHS
Oh,
at my
love that
friend's
movie.
house. And it gave me nightmares for eons. Like, I love Jaws and Children of the Corn, and I love corny Z grade movies. They really light up my life in most cases. My
Sharks
favorite
of
horror movie ever that's not like a standard monster or killer movie is Night of the Creeps.
mm-hmm.
If you know, you know. If you don't know, you don't know. And yeah, that sounds terrible. Make better choices for your family, Nicholas. Jesus.
No, we are still quoting it and still loving it and still having fun with it. So
Okay.
no. What's your
As
beer?
all right. I am drinking a beer I have had on the show before. This is Peak Organic Brewing's India Pale Ale. It's I think it's a 5 and change ABV. I don't know. I have my glasses on. That's my pop. I don't have any clean beer glasses because I've been drinking a lot of beer by myself. So we're gonna drink this in a Dickies barbecue pit cup because I don't give
Wow,
a
we
shit.
are just classing this place up.
We're just taking it way down.
All right. You
And
know what? Not going to judge. Not going to judge. You're going to keep the train moving. Going to go on to my vinyl check while you pour because we can't fucking see it because
you
it's a
can't see it,
plastic
but
cup.
I'm gonna taste while you vinyl check. Go ahead.
I got two this week. I'm going to start off with Jefferson Starship by Paul Kantner. Blows Against the Empire. That is the very first instance of Jefferson Starship existing. Duncan and I did an episode of the Department of Metal Antiquities, easy for you to say, episode on this one recently, and we both loved it so much that we both bought it on vinyl. So that's a big deal. And because variations on a theme are my raison d'etre, because that way I don't got to think of anything else to do. The second vinyl of the week, The Sane Asylum by Blind Delusion. Anyone who listened to the Department of Metal Antiquities episode we did on this record knows. I bought this off of my coworker for $15. The other one was like $2 plus shipping. But the Blind Delusion is Les Claypool and Larry Lalonde in a thrash metal band, semi-produced theoretically, possibly, by Kirk Hammett. They actually re-released it recently with Les Claypool turned up.
That is right. And then both those guys, Les went on to Primus, found Primus, and Larry had already, I think, been in Possessed and left. Blind Delusion has a brand new album out that is a banger. They are literally in my backyard here in the Bay Area. They are second wave Bay Area thrash. They're a little progressive metal also. I just saw them earlier in the year, open for Death Angel. Fantastic band to this day.
Can I say, my hair is looking better than it ever has on this podcast.
This show is not brought to you by Keeps, but maybe it should be.
Oh.
No, do you know what Keeps is? Keeps is
keeps your hair.
Yeah, and it's actually really, apparently, not harmful. Like, a lot of these hair medicines have crazy side effects.
I refuse to do anything to improve my looks. I am who I am.
But I like that. Let's go with that. That's a good feeling.
Anywho,
is that your whole vinyl check?
Whole vinyl check.
Then I guess it's time for mine. I have the one today, and you know it's a special one to me because we've spent endless times talking about this band and this album. This is There's a great TikTok of Alice in Chains. A guy listening, he's just like looking at the Alice in Chains album, and then the comes in, and he's like like he can't. For podcast listeners who can't see that, I just almost fumbled the album out of my hands. There's no record inside the sleeve, but this is Alice in Chains Dirt. This just celebrated 30 years. Hell, I'm old, but I love this album. I had that
in my hand last weekend.
This is the double. I got this because the variants all sold out, and I could not afford the giant box set that I desperately want. I bought this from...
Talked about that at length on Messenger.
Hotstuff.se. Hot Stuff is a record chain in Sweden, similar to the Tower Records of Sweden, and they do a lot of cool stuff. They are big enough in the world that they get their own variants on vinyl. I think I got a Ghost variant of Impera from them also, so I'm going to show you the colored vinyl in a second. I played this CD and tape out, broke the tape, dubbed this onto many things for friends. I love this record to the death. Easily one of my top 5 records of all time, and I mean of all time. Comes with a really cool insert with the lyrics, just like the CD did. Credits, lyrics, it's very glossy. My lighting and my setup are a little different this week, so apologies. Hopefully by the next episode we'll be doing a little bit better. And the very cream yellow colored, which is the accent color of the vinyl, like a creamy yellow with the classic Columbia red label.
It looks like a sherbet and vanilla.
Yes.
But mixed together.
Limoncello or maybe a gelato lemon.
My setup is also different this week, but I feel like mine looks better than normal.
You look good. I will say that I was a little surprised that that's not the gatefold. It's not a gatefold. It's 2 vinyls inside a single sleeve, which is, I feel, unusual. You comment if you think you agree.
I have a lot of those. Not that it would matter for Alice in Chains if they got a couple of bucks, especially with that record that sold a squillion copies. But I think it's an extra $1 per copy to go gatefold rather than. But I'm on record. I am just not really a fan of gatefolds.
You've said this. Here's one last thing I'm going to add. I have no other vinyl check today, but just to say that I ordered this from Sweden. This arrived the day the album re-release came out and hit digital. So, like, if a company from Sweden can take a payment from me, process it, ship me this goddamn thing. It's perfect, not a dent or a scratch, beautifully packaged through customs, whatever I paid in shipping, probably about almost equal to the cost of the record
Oh,
to ship
probably a
from
good
Europe.
$20 minimum.
Yeah, yeah. I think it was closer to 30 plus, but it was to me worth it because these variants were selling out and I couldn't get one anywhere else that I wanted, and I didn't just want the 180. I wanted the cute. I
The
like the
180 is
color,
what I had in my hand, I presume.
and I got it on time. So I understand there's global delays because of everything and all the things. Like if this company in Sweden can get this record into my hands the day it comes out, everybody else in America and Canada do better. I'm looking at you. Do better.
I agree. I agree. But let's not spiral as we are wont to do. I have no news this week.
What's
So
your
I'm
what's
gonna
your shirt check? I see you
Oh,
have a
shirt check. I am wearing
Metallica.
just an old timey Metallica shirt. It's just the old timey logo on a nothing interesting. It's just actually this is what I put on to wear underneath my shirt at work today. So
Interesting. And I am wearing my Selina shirt because Selina, the movie, has come back to streaming, and I think that had to do with the lawsuit between the family and the ex-husband. But anything for Selena. We love
speaking
Selena.
of streaming, Clerks 3 is now on streaming. So next week, well, week after, not this week, but next week I'm gonna talk about it because I got
Okay.
things to say.
I have many things to say. Bring a box of tissues if you
Oh
haven't watched this
shit!
already, especially if you're a middle-aged white guy.
I literally needed hugs after the
I
movie.
did too. I was sad I went alone. I wish I had gone with a friend.
I
But
thankfully went with a friend and got hugs, but
okay.
that is not normal from a Kevin Smith movie is to need hugs.
Yeah.
Um,
Any other news items?
no, I got nothing this week. I looked and saw nothing worth me.
Here's a fun thing. Maybe this is a thing you and I should look into doing. I don't. I heard a rumor that maybe Nick Mason is going to add extra dates next year to North America and come back here. Both of us have missed out.
Big time.
But apparently today was the announce. I know it happened because I posted it on Ghost Cult. Was the announcement of the Decibel Metal and Beer Festival in Philadelphia, a city you like. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe, just maybe, maybe we can go to the festival.
When is
Maybe
it?
it's in April usually. I don't know if that's a busy time of the year for you. I was hoping to be out of the country in April, but who knows?
It is
I
not. Let
My
me.
life is upside down. It's just a thought. You have to look at the lineup, make sure it's for you. It's
I'm not.
co-headlined by Suicidal Tendencies and Black Dahlia Murder, a
Hmm.
new version of Black Dahlia Murder
Oh
without
yeah.
Trevor. Incantation and I Hate God will be there playing special albums. Suicidal will play the first Suicidal album and the hits. Black Dahlia Murder is just going to play. That in and of itself is a triumph. And a bunch of other pretty cool modern death metal bands and
I'm gonna
grindcore
call that a
bands.
definite hard maybe.
Maybe.
Hard maybe.
I mean, and if not that one, they're doing one in Denver in December. There'll be another
Oh,
one next year somewhere else. They usually have at least two a year. Maybe it's a future plan where we hit one of these and then we maybe live podcast at the festival or at the hotel room or something.
if we cannot do next year,
Maybe the year
I
after.
can guarantee you 2024,
Oh.
providing I'm still alive. How do I sound? Am I
You sound
reverby?
good. You
Good.
sound
Okay.
very good. Very tight. No worries. NHL season kicked off. Rangers are 2-1 as of this video.
Wait, you've already played 3 games?
Rangers have played 3 games
We've
and
only
won
played
two.
one.
Yep, I know.
We're gonna play
It's
another
weird.
one in 2 days.
It's a weird schedule.
I did go real quick on the hockey front. Watched a couple of Federal Prospects Hockey League games, which are just as Mickey Mouse and ticky tack as you would expect for a league on YouTube. Spectacular fun, though. Great fun. We also went to Linwood University's first ever home men's Division I hockey game against the Air Force. They went down 6-2 in the second and came back to win it 7-6. Woo-hoo! So there are probably some enthusiasm bombs from the coach of the Air Force after that game.
That is a lot of scoring. I'm surprised at that amount of scoring.
It was a fun day. It was, like I said, very first one. The arena they play in holds 25. There were 2,200 people there, including a student section that I think had been pre-gaming for 4 days leading up to it. So loud as shit. So much fun.
Great. I love to hear it. As we are speaking, I was hoping to get in the first couple of innings of the Yankees Game 5 against the Cleveland Guardians, but they are in a rain delay.
Ugh.
So,
So let's get moving. So that way, when the rain's over, you can watch it.
yeah, or listen. I don't really have a TV. I
Well,
do
fair enough.
streaming
Whatevs.
for everything. Um,
Hear you. So, you got any news you want to drop? Or are we gonna
I
just
don't really think so. Decibel Metal and Beer Festival,
all right?
and all that jazz, and I I mean, I don't think we care about Blink 182 reuniting, but I think it's actually good for music and very
Yeah,
fun and
yeah.
funny. And between like Paramore and Blink 182, all the elder emos are like happier than they rightfully should be, but they are and good.
Man,
And
fuck them all.
ouch. I did
I'm
see
sorry. No,
I did
it's
too.
good they're coming back because they'll
Yeah, yeah.
bring younger bands with them, and
That's they are. That Turnstile is opening for Blink 182 on a national US tour. That's insane. Those guys are deep rooted hardcore guys in a semi popular band. I will two more minor topics while we're at it in terms of movies because we talked about Clerks. I saw Halloween Ends and I liked it. A lot of people do not seem to like it, but I don't think they knew what album, what just like what album people are getting. They don't know what movie they think they're going to, and I liked it. And the soundtrack is magical. And speaking of soundtracks, we probably should do a whole series or chaser on John Carpenter and his son Cody because they are still making banger horror movie soundtracks. They just did the Firestarter one. Now Halloween, of course, because he's also producing the movie, as well as appearances on the soundtrack from Dead Kennedys, Blue Oyster Cult, and Boy Harsher, which is a band you have heard me talk about this year, with a fantastic two new albums, and now an appearance on the Halloween soundtrack. And one other movie I saw is the documentary I urge everyone to see, especially with what's going on in the world. Sirens, the movie about the Lebanese metal band Slave to Sirens, cutting across a lot of social, political issues, gender issues, young adult issues, millennial and younger issues in the world. And yeah, this documentary is marvelous. It did take place over the course of that horrible explosion in Lebanon in August of 2020, while the world was also going through a pandemic, the heart of the pandemic. So just I cannot recommend this movie enough. Easily one of my top 3 music documentaries for the year. And that's my
I
news.
I apologize, but I'm just gonna. I said I was done, but I have one thing I should mention, and I only learned this after I contracted COVID for the second time, which kicked my ass this time. I might add, if you've listened to the Tori Amos episode of the Department of Metal Antiquities, you heard my because I went listened to that and went ugh. We are now approved for a third booster. I didn't know, so I still haven't scheduled mine because I'm a fucking idiot. Schedule your boosters.
We are heading into flu season, and your booster cannot hurt. I'm not a big fan of the flu shot, but having had COVID now earlier this year in the summer, I don't want it again. Boosters
Same.
coming. Boosters coming soon. I'm just trying to figure out my schedule, and it's been hard for me to get out of bed daily. So I got to
I
figure out
hear you.
adult. Got to figure out grown up shit also. Anywho, all that being said and done, that is the first half of the show. Pew, all done. Take us away, Maestro, for the final chapter in the Pink Floyd saga for animals.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna say, and this is Nick talking. Your uncle, Daddy Nick. Uh, Sorry, I watched a really creepy ass documentary called "Stay Sweet." Don't watch it. Anyway, um, I am gonna say that we are now discussing, quite frankly, the last moment of Pink Floyd. This show is the end because Roger has already been amassing territory in the band, and after this show, he completely takes it. And he had significant writing credits on this album, the previous album, the preceding album of that one. However, I think I would make the case that Roger claims he wrote The Wall and is Pink Floyd. As you've said, he is Pink in his mind. So this is, there is no legitimate Wall tour. They did about 15 shows total for The Wall because Roger didn't want to do this again. And I love Roger and I love what he's done, but holy shit, this series has really been rough for me because it's harder and harder for me to stand Roger Waters when we really get our feet into this, and it's icky and slimy, and we're not even doing the real nest. Excuse me, that wow, 11%. It hits you. It hits, and I'm going through it.
Let me jump in and say again, like we've made a very strenuous point to say that we don't co-sign Roger's personal current politics that are nasty and horrible. Imagine being a Bob Dylan fan. Like, and I know Bob Dylan is one of the most important songwriters in history. He's an incredible lyricist, similar to Roger, a hero of Roger's. Actually, explains a lot about Roger. See, some people will tell you about how great a singer Bob Dylan is. He's absolutely not a great singer. He never was. He never.
People on the drugs.
Well, just people who want to buy the myth about his greatness. Now, I think Bob Dylan is an incredible songwriter. And
look, I love John Lee Hooker, but you're not going to hear me say he can sing.
Yeah. And if you're listening to John Lee Hooker and it's for the singing, other than the greatness of the songs, I'm curious. But
I question every one of your choices. But
and also, interestingly enough, Jimi Hendrix was not a great singer in his lifetime, and then you get to hear things like blues and some of these compilation records, and you hear him live, and he sounds much better than on these records. It's just like, where did he put his focus? Writing and producing and recording, and and they did the vocals in an hour.
Well, he recorded his vocals while he was playing, typically. Even.
Sometimes, yeah. Plus, he was overdubbing everybody else's parts, including, especially Noel Redding's bass. So anyway, I make it a point. What is the point, Keefy? The point is, like, these Roger songs and albums are they still have meaning. It doesn't invalidate those feelings, those attachments we have to those records. It just makes it hard. Imagine being a Bob Dylan fan for 50 years and thinking this guy was God, and then you find out he's a slimeball. He's been, over sexually aggressive at every step of his career, and multiple, lawsuit cases against him for harassment and worse. It would stain the guy for you. It would make it hard for you. So,
it's like you'd be if you were a hardcore conservative with conservative values who is really serious about the family unit. Then you find out that he amused his wife, paid for an abortion, and ran out on 5 kids.
Are we talking about Lauren Boebert's dad? Anyway.
No, Herschel Walker.
Oh, fuck that guy.
Oh, yeah, fuck him.
Formerly of the New York Giants. Fuck him.
Oh, yeah.
In every way possible. But, in Georgia, you might be, if you're like touchdown Jesus in Georgia, they might just see right past that.
Anywho, sorry.
So I will hand it back to you just to say that, again, there's a lot of people out there who have identified their whole lives with artists who are now things are coming to light about them letting us down. It's a hard relationship.
To be clear, when I say I stan Roger, I'm talking about what he has done on record, and regardless of where he moves and what stupidity he sticks his face in now, I still relate to Animals on a visceral, emotional, philosophical level, period. And regardless of any stupid crap, doesn't change it. Doesn't change The Wall, doesn't change anything. So, but that being said, Roger's kind of a dick. And on the best of days, he's kind of a dick. So this is real, and we're going to get into some part of this concert where I look at this and go, what a cockhole. Because there are 2 songs on this record where I think to myself, what is going on? Why is this happening? Roger. So, back to the point. This is the final tour of the In the Flesh tour, which gives way to the Wall tour, quote unquote tour. Well, again, 5 on the coast, 5 on the West Coast, and 5 to 10 in London. And that was the Wall tour. They couldn't tour it because it wasn't, Roger refused to play stadiums, and Roger's vision for the Wall required stadiums to make money. So the only person who made money on the Wall from Pink Floyd is Rick Wright, who was fired and was paid for his work. So here we have the last show of the tour. Montreal. Roger spits on a dude. We'll get there. I'm not going to make any joke about that because that's just gross. Don't do that. So the Pink Floyd has always played long shows. It's a 2.5-hour show. They play Animals, they play Wish You Were Here, then a subsequent Bits and Bobs. However, now, since they're playing all of their new album and the previous, I would think, that they would start off with Animals by playing Pigs on the Wing 1. No. Nope, they start with Sheep. Because ideas?
I mean, we discussed in previous episodes that at this amazing, insane level of success they had challenged them to their core as a band. So the millstone of Dark Side of the Moon and how brilliant it is, but also that it's one singular piece of music in their minds and not 10 songs or 8 songs. The follow up to Wish You Were Here, which has titanic radio hits despite being a total synth and lead guitar wang out avant garde record in its best day.
It's an avant garde prog record.
Right. It's progressive rock. It's as much progressive rock or more than Dark Side of the Moon in my mind.
More. I would say more.
Because Dark Side of the Moon has several just, this, except for Money, Dark Side of the Moon is all in 4/4 and 3/4 and is like straight up, has been chopped up into radio songs. And so has Money with its challenging time signature. What are you guys, yes or ELP? Yes, you are. That's good. On that same, or Genesis, on that same level. Genesis with Pete Banks. So, the millstone of the success has to factor into now everything they do. The stage set, how big they're getting. They sold a lot of records and didn't earn a lot of money. We discussed that in the last episode. Don't need to rehash, but it's just a thing. They sold more records than almost anybody in the 70s except the Eagles, and they didn't have a lot of cash to show for it. And being Pink Floyd is very expensive, just being that kind of level of band. And so Roger's dissatisfaction. I mean, like, Sheep's a great song, and I wouldn't mind hearing. I love seeing a band change their set list up and getting different things to open and close with. That excites me. But Sheep is a weird choice, just inherently. I would have at least opened with Dogs if you didn't want to open with the acoustic guys. At least open with Dogs. That makes a lot more sense, even though it's hella long.
As you were talking, I was not listening. I was thinking because I'm a jerk, and I apologize for that. As I thought about it, really, honestly, truly, and I love this record. I'm not bagging on it. There's no narrative. There's no thematic progress. I mean, the closest thing to a narrative is this one sheep kills a dog at the end. Okay, I get that. Great. But that could have happened anytime. So does it really matter what order they go in?
It's assuming you know Animal Farm and know that that's the inspiration for the album. It's a very big leap. I love the Henry Rollins. I told him I've probably referenced this at least once on the show, where Henry Rollins has a spoken word bit where he picks on Iron Maiden. And he picks on Dickinson, specifically from his interviews. Like, we're a very literate band, and we read a lot of books, and we write songs about those books. And, and then he'll quote out a bunch of song lyrics or album titles. And
I believe you talked about this during the Maiden series. Go back and check it out, folks.
But yeah, go back and check it. We'll link it in the description and maybe in the up above us. But it's a leap to assume the fans understand that Animals is based on Animal Farm by George
There are conservative adults who were in their 60s who had no idea that Dark Side of the Moon was anti-capitalist and pro-worker propaganda. So yes, I can completely see why, and I'm not just picking on conservatives, I'm just pointing out that this is blatantly pro-worker, and the anti-worker party, they're like, oh, that song's great. I love this song. Yeah, dig a hole, bitch. Dig another one. I don't know when they hear that what they're thinking. It's like, no, he should be digging that. Yeah, dig that second hole. Work hard. I don't know. Anyway, so they're definitely nailed to Dark Side of the Moon. Roger admits that because he did 5 tours where he played the whole thing. Pink Floyd 15 years after this plays the entirety of Dark Side of the Moon to bring the people. And Roger's not there. Another one of Roger's creations. 60% Roger. We'll call it 60. He wrote all the lyrics. If you wrote 10% of the music, that's 60%. Anyway, so they know where they're at on that. So then this tour, they're playing stadiums. The show we're discussing is in Montreal's Olympic Stadium, or something they say in French, which is not that.
Former home of the Montreal Expos, no?
The greatest French Canadian baseball team of all time. Just gonna say that. The first time I ever heard Canada was Cardinals and Expos in 1986. And they sang it in French, completely in French. Gotta love that. They did not know that you're only not supposed to do that. You're only supposed to sing half of it in French, but whatever. St. Louis, Midwest in the 80s. We didn't care about people that spoke funny talk back then. So, and that would definitely qualify as anyway. I'm kidding. I love the French people, and everybody knows. So they bust out Sheep. Great rendition of Sheep. Raw, dirty, gritty. Love it. And then what do we do? Fucking Pigs in the Wing Part 1. You motherfucker. Now you're messing with me. Now you're just seeing what you can do. Okay, great. So then where do we go? Well, flip the record back over. Let's get to Dogs now. All right. Well, we started side 2. Then we're going to flip back over to side 1, play side 1. And Dogs, I think, went on for about 7 hours. It was, and Sheep went also, I'm going to say it, they went on long. They're a little longer than required. Then, because this is what you do, apparently, when you're Roger Waters and you're pissed off at people, you spit on a dude. Because apparently these French guys were lighting fireworks and shouting and hollering, and Roger Waters needs you at this moment in time. And he's not drunk or blasted or anything, because Floyd never did that. They were the sights and the sounds of the psychedelic movement. And as Nick Mason put it in his books, I never got any of that. We didn't have any money, so we couldn't do that. So they were never like drinking or anything on stage. So he's excited people are having fun and not watching him. And I don't know if he's aware, but Pink Floyd is not an audience interactive band. You're never going to see whichever person is singing, holding his hands above his head, clapping, stomping his feet, going, come on, sing along. No. So he says, I'm trying to fucking sing a song here. Quit lighting off fucking fireworks. Some people want to hear the song. Well, right there, damning with faint praise for yourself. Some people want it. Not everybody, but some people want to hear him sing. And he's like, if you want to sing along and make a crowd or set off fireworks, get out and get a pint. Fuck you. And I'm like, whoa. Now I can't even sing? You motherfucker.
I think it's fair to say it's easy to gloss over that Roger just behaves badly, but I think like this is endemic again. The millstone of the success, the disjointed nature of the band is starting to fracture. We discussed it during the making of Animals. Is starting to get even before that, we're starting to get the hints of things. Roger asserts his control, and rightly so. These albums are a miracle of music making and writing. And he feels disconnected from the band. He feels disconnected from the audience instead of like a Peter Gabriel who feels completely in sync with the audience no matter what the scenario. So like, just to make a comparison of a similar lyricist genius and songwriting genius frontman, so he's feeling pretty bad. He's not happy, and it's the end of this grueling tour. They probably don't have a lot of money to show for it, although touring is where they made any of their money.
And when it's not just a grueling tour and all that, but he hates this kind of tour.
He does not. He feels like this misrepresents the music and it's getting too stupid, and he doesn't like it. And I don't know if this is true or not. I've read accounts that he also peed off the stage. Not necessarily onto anyone, but he peed, literally zip, and whipped it out, and Little Roger came out and wetted the area off the stage. Like this has been not corroborated, but perhaps an account. I don't know if it's true. It'd be pretty certainly be like some kind of lascivious lewd behavior in buttoned up French
Not in
Canada.
1977.
Maybe.
If I could just, quote Jason Lee from Mallrats, Christ, man, there are some things you just don't talk about in public. And I'm going to say Roger taking a whiz off the stage qualifies because I can't picture Roger as a young man. For me, Roger is always the 75-year-old dude.
They're all about 30 something at this point on this tour, no?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, they're still young gentlemen.
That
But
kid
for
is on
me,
the escalator again.
right. But to me, I still see old man Roger and, wrinkled little. I know. Oh, I'm ending
Little
this.
Raj.
I
I don't know if this is true or not. I'm just saying, like,
I don't even want to think about it.
He's feeling mentally
Yes.
beat up by being a rock star. I understand, like, you bastard. Like, how could you? You're so lucky.
Well, nobody really knows what it's like till you get there. And it's a hard life. Imagine being away, your house. My house is my home. It's it's my everything. To be away from it for a week. And I'm like, on vacation, I'm like, when I get back, it's like, I'm home. When I would have to go on business trips 3 or 4 times a year, be gone for 3 or 4 days, I get back, I'm like, Now picture that for 2 goddamn years. 2 years you're away from your home. You've got to hire people to take care of it. You've got to get house sitters. You've got to get all this, wondering about your home. And then in the 70s, when there's no cell phones, long distance, so you're probably paying $300, $400 a month just calling your house sitter, just checking in with your family, or serving your wife divorce papers if you're Roger.
Yeah, I mean, Roger's getting divorced. Gilmore gets divorced right after this, before The Wall and before his solo album in '78. Like, this is not good. Not right, a whole lot of not good going on with all these guys.
Yeah, I mean, they're burnt out. They see themselves as genuine artists, not pop stars, but they're doing pop star tours. And I'm not gonna fault them for being burnt out, shagged out, and ready to go the fuck home. And that's where they were. So, moving on, we played Dogs again. Another bit much on the Dogs. After Dogs, well, let's go ahead and finish this bitch and play Pigs on the Wing Part 2. Okay. I don't know why we're jumbling this all together, but did you notice anything interesting about this version?
Did we hear Pigs 3 different ones? I don't remember if you.
No, we haven't. We're not there yet.
Okay.
We'll get there.
I don't. No.
Snowy played his solo.
No shit.
So there's a guitar solo in this one, which originally Dave played it. It was erased by mistake by Roger, so they say. So Snowy ended up playing it, and it was only released on the 8-track version of this album. If you're me, I probably would have put that on the 2018 remix because you got it. And whatever. So they didn't do it. Now we get to Pigs 3 different ones. And it's not the worst part of the record. We're headed there.
Is this a record? Is this a record you can buy?
I'm sure there's a bootleg.
I have a bootleg of a different concert from that tour on vinyl that's like beautifully made and remastered, probably by. I know I shouldn't be buying bootleg things, but it came up.
Look, if you have everything Pink Floyd ever did already anyway, you can buy bootlegs.
I think so.
Because then, at that point in time, they're just not serving the market, and it's their fault. They made me do it.
Continue with the set list. Let's plow through this thing.
Okay, next so they finish off Animals. So now they take a break. Gotta have a breather. Now we come back to play all the hits from Wish You Were Here and all the rest of it too. So have you ever thought to yourself, man, what would happen to Shine On You Crazy Diamond if Roger sang it? Now you can find out. It did not take me long to realize, holy fuck, no. David is right there. He sang it on the record. Does he hate you? What's going on? Now, for Wish You Were Here, they play the thing front to back, which probably what they should have done for Animals, but they didn't. No, I take that back. I'm sorry, I take that back. Because next is Welcome to the Machine. followed by Have a Cigar, followed by Wish You Were Here, followed by Shine On You Crazy Diamond Part 2. I know they have like other numbers, but no, it's 1 and 2 because it's only 2. So then we have an encore. And finally, those drunk French fuckers in the front get their day. Because they come out and they play Money. Money is probably, sorry, I'm leaking today. Money is probably the most popular Pink Floyd song in the entire catalog that is not named Another Brick in the Wall Part 2. And it's my wife's favorite version of Pink Floyd song. She's not really a fan. It's a cool song. It's a great bass riff. There are not many, and I hate this word. Everybody knows I hate this word. There are not many iconic bass riffs from the 70s. This is probably number 1. This is an amazing moment in the musicianship of Roger Waters. We don't talk about that very much. Roger it's like Banky and Holden, right? Holden draws it, Banky inks it, and then Banky colors it. It takes, you got the one guy making the outline and the other guy fleshing it out.
Your mother's a tracer. I'll trace a chalk mark around your dead body.
Fucking body. Love that movie. No, I want the guy that draws Blunt Man and Chronic to sign.
No, I don't want you to sign it. I want the guy that draws Blunt Man and Chronic. He just traces. Oh, yeah. Oh, so you're a tracer. Oh, yeah.
So
I kind of need a Mallrats too now.
Well, let me ask you a question. What if you...
Or Chasing Amy too.
If you got this artwork, and then you draw the exact same artwork right on top.
Right around it.
Right on top. What would you call that?
I don't know, man. It's a tracer. It's a tracer.
That is like one of the greatest scenes in cinema.
And that's the opening scene of that movie.
Yes. And then it goes downhill from there because that is just not... No, great movie, but that is...
What's a Nubian?
Bitch, you almost made me laugh.
Made me laugh.
Okay, stop it. Where was I?
Sorry. Strange choices. I love Wish You Were Here. Again, my favorite record ever, period. Dead full stop. But Strange Choices, could they get the hits? Like, obviously, so maybe people don't know the new album that well, and we did it weirdly out of sequence for whatever reason. Let's now play a bunch of hit songs that people love. No brainer.
Also out of sequence.
Yeah, but, like, at that point, those records are hard to do. Like,
so really
if they only did, it's like Kraftwerk. If you only did all the material in sequence for those classic records, then it's also kind of... I know what's coming. I know what to expect.
If you do Wish You Were Here out of sequence, as long as you got the bookends, does it even matter?
Not really.
No, not really. So then they come out, they play Money. Then they play Us and Them. Then David has enough. And Roger's like, let's go back out there. And David says no. Well, Roger will not be told what to do. So he brings everybody back out but David. Because, he screams something in the middle about all is forgiven, everyone come back. Which is just weird to begin with. I don't know if that was part of the song or whatever, but messed up stuff.
I think there's like unspoken stuff going on with the band we are not privy to. I'd love to get Roger on to discuss some of this. I wonder what he would think of this podcast series where we just shit on him, deservedly so at times.
But you know what?
I'd love to hear him defend himself and be like, none of that's true, and you don't know what they did to me. And
I'm not saying he's not getting shit sandwiches served up, but he's getting plenty of Dutch rudder. He's getting plenty of Dutch rudders to go with.
He's earned the grief and the greatness. There's no question.
Yes, he has. And so he comes out and he says, well, we don't really play the blues. We're going to play slow blues for you. And why is my...
Lost your camera, and your volume also got weirdly loud, but it's okay. There we go. You're back.
That was weird. I didn't touch anything. So they decide to play a slow blues. And they play this really... hauntingly beautiful blues song for reasons unknown to me. And that ends, and then we close the chapter on what was classic Pink Floyd.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's fair because the Wall is clearly
The wa- n- the
it's not
Wall
Pink
is
Floyd the way
different,
it was for the classic
right?
era, but like it's still Pink Floyd. The Wall is still Pink Floyd, even if it's
No, I
mostly
completely
older.
agree. But this was the end of the classic run.
This is kind of funny. So I did in my band heyday, I did quite a lot of session stuff. Not that I'm so great, but just friends of mine needed bass on some of their stuff, and I would go play. And sometimes I didn't enjoy the music, but I was a soldier, and I wanted to help my friends out and maybe make some money. And whenever there was a lull in the studio or we were taking too long on something that was uninspiring to me, I do Roadhouse bum 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 on the bass, just like every time. That's my on board riff. And finally, somebody picked up on it. It was like, you son of a bitch, you telegraph every time you've had enough of something and you bum 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 bum. And I'm like, that's to keep me from leaving. Like, you may not like that. That's to keep me from walking out because whatever this is sucks. And I hate, I gotta be real. Uh, you know. So yeah, there's a lot there. And then basically, Roger goes home and meditates on this whole experience that he hated the whole tour and was unhappy with the band. And as you, I'm sure, can illustrate better than I, but Roger goes home and he starts thinking about the next thing and how disaffected he is and how just disconnected from humanity he feels the rock star to the person is, and how these shows were more like a fascist rally to him. This is in his mind, right? Concerts, this is the era of Frampton Comes Alive and Kiss Alive 2 and the end of Sabbath and the birth of Van Halen and some of the greatest rock shows of Queen at the height of their powers, some of the greatest showmanship ever. And here's Roger just hating life, hating being a rock star, hating his own band, hating the music he created, hating the reaction of fans. And so he goes home and he starts sketching out two stories. One is what he thinks is not that personal, but is intensely personal and is almost autobiographical. Could have been a book, actually, about his life, not an album.
Which one are you talking about?
I'm talking about The Wall.
Oh,
He's making
I,
a story about the disconnection between art
see, I
and
thought you were
people.
talking about pros and cons.
It's coming. No, actually, it's the difference between in Roger's mind. He writes two stories. He writes a bunch of songs. He writes a bunch of lyrics, and he feels like one is very personal and only about him, and another one is a broader missive about humanity. And the broader one, the band is like, this is way insane and too personal, but I got to admit, these songs are pretty great. But have great bones. I don't know about we got to work on them, but like, this is seems extremely personal and forward and even, going to maybe anger our fans. That's The Wall. And the second record is sort of half a mix of what becomes the final cut, the songs that are not associated with the Wall soundtrack, and pros and cons. And so the band is asked to choose which of these would you rather do? Which would you rather? Would you rather your fingers all turn to sausages, or would you rather explode like the sun, like a red dwarf? So like they picked The Wall, which was the less personal of the two things offered. I feel like The Wall is the most personal Rogers album,
I think
and
it's not
Animals was the
because
least personal.
no, it's pros. I say it's pros and cons.
I
We
think.
have about 15 minutes, and this is going to be a great conversation that we can do for 10.
All right.
See, the Wall was the past, and pros and cons was the future. No, I take it back. They're equally as personal because in pros and cons, he is contemplating the greener grass. In the Wall, he is contemplating the yellow grass that he's already walked past. And I don't think I don't know that he realized what he was doing. But let's stick with the Wall and the beginnings of the Wall. This is, and the reason why I say this concert is where we close the book on classic Floyd. When Pink Floyd reforms on tour next, the classic lineup is broken up. Before the album is even finished, the classic lineup is broken up. Roger has assumed, they let Roger fire Rick. That is not a band. That is a dictatorship. And a band is, you might have a visionary or two, but again, going back to Roger and Dave, when you have Roger and Dave working together, you have probably the most potent musical partnership in the history of music, at least rock music and prog music. When you have Roger without Dave, you have something slightly missing. When you have Dave without Roger, you have glorious messes like Momentary Lapse of Reason, or glorious, meandering, beautiful abstracts like On an Island. Dave is able to make Roger more freeform, and Roger is able to make Dave more regimented. That's why the partnership works. But I don't even know where I was going with that. So
I mean, that's not unfair. I think, yeah, the things that Animals tour invariably steers the band on a course that removes Rick and then removes Roger from the equation. I'm also going to say I just watched the Kiss documentary, History, for the first time. I had never seen it in its entirety. Wouldn't be a bad chaser. And Bob Ezrin is a psycho. He's a psychopath.
Oh, yeah.
He's a genius and a great composer himself and an incredible arranger and all these things. He might be like the American George Martin. I know that's high praise. But dude is wild. He's wilding out with his big dick swinging energy, telling artists the fuck to do. I'm sure that's why Cooper worked on and off with him and couldn't stay with him. I'm sure it's why
they're still together.
Kiss regretted going back to him. Apparently,
three times they used him.
He's a great producer, though. Like, if you don't know how to enunciate your musical ideas, he's the guy. But at the same time, I can only imagine the shit that he stirred between Roger and Dave, and that's why you got what you got. With in my opinion, I much more trust. I think also they were all very too close to everything. So on top of all these other complications, interpersonal and otherwise, Ezrin is a guy. Maybe he doesn't. They're all too close to it, and Ezrin's not the right guy probably to, maybe help that.
Ezrin was the right guy for Roger. Now, hear me out.
Not for David.
This. Correct.
Which is why David fought about those mixes, and I'm glad he won.
Just going to point out that Ace also hated Bob Ezrin. Although David goes back to Bob Ezrin later, which I don't understand. But Bob Ezrin is very much about the songwriter. Whoever is writing the songs is going to get the preening and the petting and the scritches from Bob Ezrin. The background characters are going to get, kidney punched. What are you doing? Why are you doing it wrong? Play this. Like, he hummed the solo to Detroit Rock City to Ace, and he said, play this.
I love the fucking story about how he was like, Ace is like a 2-3 take guy max. And Ezrin is like 10 takes, 15 20 takes, and Ace just didn't come back the next day. He was like, use one of mine or don't. I'm not coming back to track that song.
This is the same guy that holds a little box next to the drummer and taps the beat. Bob Ezrin is serious. It's like Bob Rock. Bob Rock and Bob Ezrin both have the one thing that makes a producer a super producer rather than a glorified engineer. I love Eddie Kramer. Love him to death. But you know what? If I got Ezrin, Rock, or Kramer in a room going, we want to do your record, the first guy I'm kicking out is Eddie Kramer.
I don't know. It's hard for me because the impact that Eddie Kramer made on other bands, like Billy Joel's records, and the market and improvement in production of those records.
He is an amazing, amazing engineer. He is the greatest soundsmith in the world.
Got great ears.
However, he is not a songcraft.
No, he's not. He's not a writer by himself. He's a bored guy. That's absolutely true.
You take Rock and Ezrin, and they take your song and go, yeah, your song's about a 6.5 and a 7. Do X, Y, and Z.
That's not unfair.
And you're going to sell 2 million copies of that single.
Yeah.
So that's. But you have got, if you work with these guys, you've got to be able to have someone look you in the face and go, oh, That's what you want to put on the record? Are you sure?
Most bands can't handle that.
Correct.
Most
So
bands cannot.
correct. So that's what we've got. Is we got
Yeah.
anyway.
But is Animal still a great record? Is the 2018 remix finally out and
Yeah,
wonderful? Fantastic. Like, let's end
let's
on a positive.
let's tie this up a little bit so that we don't ramble about nonsense. To ask your first question, is Animal still a great record? Yes, it is still absolutely amazing, exceedingly powerful, and it's a lot. I love prog, I love metal, and if you love metal, you kind of have to love prog a little bit. Iron Maiden, looking at you, Metallica, Megadeth, all you guys. That's not Slayer or Anthrax, but to be really great at prog. I mean, how many prog bands, do they have a 7-minute instrumental section and you're sweating and you're getting the feels from that? Yes, can't do that. Kansas can't do that. Rush, love you, Rush, but you can't do that for me. You get into dogs, you get into sheep, and that gets
Fighting words, bro. Like,
look, this is opinion. This is not fact. This is not criticism. This is emotion. This is subject, not objective. So when the fact that Pink Floyd can do that on Animals, once you get the message, if you're me, that message is powerful and it gets into your DNA. It is almost as powerful for me as The Wall. The Wall, as has been described many times in this on the Glacier Musical Podcast, The Wall is my Pink Floyd. That is my entry point. That is what I can associate with the most, because when I got into it, it was all about how do I personally associate with the song, and that was what made me love something. Now it's not that way. Now it's all about narrative, whatever, but still. Now, to answer your second question, is 2018 Remix amazing? Is it good? Is it worthwhile? When I heard 2018 for the first time, because I didn't listen to any streams, I only listened to it on my turntable. I did listen to it once, I want to say, on my phone for the podcast. But as for the first time I listened to it, it was like having 20 years of muck and grime scraped off a window for me. And it took me learning about the story that Animals was based off of Animal Farm, which I didn't know for a long time. So Animals was, of the 4 or 5 album run, whatever number you want to go with, that was the one that was the hardest for me to get into. I could get into Final Cut easier than Animals. Then I found out the inspiration and the storyline. It's like, yes, okay, this has clicked. However, had I heard this version of Animals the first time, I wouldn't have needed to know the story. It would have clicked because it is so much cleaner, so much fresher. It's a better mix. Everything is, Rick's keyboards are not muddied. I'm sorry, did I say Rick? Rick's keyboards are clear and powerful. Nick's drums are not down. It's like everything was subdued. It was like listening to it while drunk. And now I'm hearing it sober for the first time. I'm coming up with analogy after analogy.
I'm pro this 2018 version. Again, I love that they trust Guthrie and the other people who worked on it. Again, I have it nearby, so I'll pull it out again because I don't want to omit names. But it's James Guthrie, Joel Plenty, and Bernie Grundman, and those are the producers, the remasterers of this album. And yeah, man, it's a shame. Probably the process of making this one, and the continued ire between David and Roger means we probably won't get any more Pink Floyd remasters. They have already remastered everything multiple times and remixed sometimes. And
all right, we have 5 minutes.
Yeah. I have nothing much more to add to this except to say that this is a great record. I also had a much stronger childhood and young adult. Even though politically this album is like my mecca, Like literally, I'm the hardest Marxist to ever come out of the ghetto, and like I love Animal Farm and Orwell and 1984 and all that shit. So to me, this record's incredible, and it gets better and better with time. And as I get older, it means more to me. And again,
Agreed.
I
Agreed.
love the wall. When I played in my Pink Floyd tribute band, we only did we barely did animals. We did dogs in our very last show. I don't think I have a recording of it. We did
See,
like 13 minutes of dogs. Is about all we could put together as a band.
you know what, it would have been great for me at Live 8 if they had just fucking played dogs.
Would have made sense. I mean, like it surely fit the event.
Like,
I just think that whole thing,
I
anything
mean,
for
there was no
television
way in
is
hell that was ever going
they
to
were not going
happen.
to give them an hour, and so they got
No, I mean,
25,
if they had
30
just come
minutes.
out and said, we're Pink Floyd, and then played dogs.
Yeah,
And said
well,
goodnight.
Roger might have liked that, but
Dave co-wrote it. Dave, one of Dave's
they
songs.
needed the audience. Well, I mean,
I
Roger's
know.
words. They needed they needed the hits. I did not need Roger singing David's songs, and even I just mistakenly was sent a, like the algorithm of, oh, you're checking out a lot of Pink Floyd. Would you like Roger Waters? Wish you were here live. I have many regrets. And even when the
There's something that
whole,
should never happen.
well, no, it's
If
fine. It's his song, and it's about him. It's about his life, but like also when the entire arena is singing it, you could just not sing. You could just let them sing the chorus every time,
look,
and it would ring out and be magical. But no, he's got to like warble
no,
along
he should not
horribly.
ever sing it. It is a musical abortion when he sings it
That's
because he.
harsh, but
It's no,
I
it's
don't
it's
care.
fair. He has a dude next to him that can do David's parts for the
He
reason
does.
of doing David's parts. He's had 6 dudes that get younger and younger. It's like sister wives.
Yeah.
He's 80. He's 85, and the David Gilmour is 22.
Yeah.
And again, seriously,
Let's
watch
put
the
a.
terrible.
We can put a pin in it.
Well, okay, so I'm gonna put a pin in that. So I was gonna ask the question. We have five. Well, I have 2 minutes left now. Is there? You had made the mention that we're probably not gonna get another one of these. Agreed. Is there one you think we need? Because they've already remastered Dark Side. Now they've now they've remixed. They did a remix reimagination of Momentary, which is a greater version, and now they've done the remix on Animals, which I think we both agree is a superior version.
Unless they were gonna let Steven Wilson take a whole run at the Pink Floyd catalog, I don't see the value in redoing the whole thing again. They've done the Sid stuff. They did my second favorite period, which is the soundtrack era, the spacey soundtracks. Those are all redone. Both have Obscured by Clouds redone.
I have the Japanese version.
Metal has been done. I don't know if Metal is out there. Maybe would be the one that maybe could get an upgrade, but I don't think they will be. It would take 10 years for it to come out. They would continue to fight about it.
Well,
So
maybe their kids will get along better.
I doubt it. So again,
I
it's
mean,
like Hatfields and McCoys, the Greens and the Blacks in Game of Thrones. It's not happening. This album's great. Go buy it. It's a buy. It's a stay list. It's a buy for if you're a Floyd fan. If you're a classic rock fan and you haven't heard this album, run, don't walk, and go buy it. I guarantee it. If you don't like it, I'll buy it from you. Everybody that's listening to this, I don't care.
look, if you don't like it, yeah, sell it to me, and I'm just gonna put it on the shelf, and I'll sell it later. I'll buy it from you.
Yeah.
It's gonna get valuable.
Did we, as we have 1 minute to go, and I'm about to hand it to you to bring us home because I did the last one, and this is the 101 episode, amazing, of the Glacially Musical Podcast. I am so honored to be here with you. Did we decide to announce our next series or not?
No, we have not. Go ahead and announce it.
Shall we? And it's the 9 guys from Iowa, right?
Yeah. Yes,
Okay, so the next series is on the first 10 years of Slipknot. And I think it's going to be very interesting. It's not that many records. I think it's a very interesting story. They just put a new record out. We can talk a little bit about the very divisive new record. I have a few of these on vinyl I'm very excited about. And I hope everybody likes it. There'll be an awesome chaser in between this one and perhaps our Metallica one also. I'm not sure if that one's showing up soon or not.
I acquiesce to Slipknot. I am not a fan. I will gladly admit that the first time I saw Slipknot was in 1998 when I was a huge Kiss fan during the reunion era. And I thought, who are these fucking guys wearing makeup and masks? That's stupid. Unironically, I thought this. Hey, I see it now. I see it.
Yeah,
now.
yeah. Anywho,
But
we'll
I am
save it all
willing
for
to
that
give-
series.
Willing to
and
give Slipknot a
coming within a
complete.
week or two, depending on when this goes up. I'm not sure. We'll talk about it in a second, but off air. But
Gonna give Slipknot a complete objective view.
yeah.
I'm gonna throw everything away and listen to it. But I
And then
think
I
that
and then
is.
and then it'll be your turn. We haven't settled on that next series after,
I
but
gotta.
whatever you
I'll
want,
think
it'll be
about my
yours.
next one. But in the meantime, we have run out of time. Thank you for listening, Keefy, my boyhood hero, which is not true. My good friend, my West Coast Wesleyan, also not true, which makes no sense. My good friend Keefy, who has joined me for a shit ton of these episodes and is still sticking with it. I greatly appreciate it on our completely useless 101st episode. Useless milestone. Useless milestone. But thank you, everyone, not just Keefy, for coming along. Thank you for listening to us and sticking with all this ridiculous nuttery and crazy Dutch ruddery, all kinds of business. You know, it is the Glacier Musical Podcast. It does not play in Peoria.
5-1 Giants. That's all I gotta say.